Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatamam vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramahananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So here we are in chapter 15 from Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrta, where we were discussing the chapter titled The Lord Accepts Prasādam at the House of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya. We have already covered till verse number 111. So we were in this section where we were seeing that how Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu was sweetly addressing, glorifying and giving certain specific instructions to the devotees who were returning to Bengal. So it's a very sweet section. So Krishna willing, we will complete this section today, and we will also touch base on the next section where Lord Caitanya actually goes for Prasādam at Sārvabhauma's house. So verses 37 to 183, where Lord Caitanya talks with the departing Bengali devotees. Khandera Mukunda Dasa Shri Raghunandana Shri Narahari Mukhya Dina Jana. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then turned his attention to three persons: Mukunda Das, Raghunandan, and Shri Narahari, inhabitants of the place called Khanda. Mukunda dasere puche Chachiranandana Tumi pita putra tomar Shri Raghunandana. So now Mahaprabhu is asking a trick question here. So Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shachiranandan, the son of Mother Shachi, next asked Mukunda Das, you are the father and your son is Raghunandan. So that's so. So he's asking a question here.
Kiba Raghunandana Pita Tomita Tanaya Nishchaya Kariya Kaha Yauka Samshaya. Or is Sri Raghunandan your father and you are his son? Please let me know the facts so that my doubts will go away. So Lord is asking, is Raghunandan your son or is he your father?
Mukund kahe Raghunandan mora pita haya ami tara putra e amara nishchaya. Mukunda replied, Raghunandan is my father and I am his son. This is my decision. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, why is such question he is asking to Mukunda, that if Raghunandan is your father and son, and here we see that Mukunda is replying also after contemplation and he is saying, Raghunandan is my father. Amasambar Krishna Bhakti Raghunandan Haite Ataiva Pita Raghunandarama Nishchite.
All of us have attained devotion to Krishna due to Raghunandan. Therefore, in my mind, he is my father. So although Raghunandan is the son of Mukunda, but Lord asked this question, is he your son or is he your father? And here Mukunda replies that no, he is my father. And here he is giving the transcendental spiritual logic to that. He's saying that it is because of Raghunandan that all of us have attained love for Krishna. We have attained devotion to Krishna. We have attained Krishna Bhakti because of Raghunandan. And therefore Raghunandan has acted like spiritual master. He has acted like a guru. And therefore Raghunandan is my father. Therefore in my mind, he is my father.
Shuni harsh kahe Prabhu kahile nishchaya Yaha haite Krishna bhakti sei guru haya. Hearing Mukunda Das give this proper decision, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed it, saying, yes, it is correct. One who awakens devotion to Krishna is certainly the spiritual master. So now here is the qualification of a father and of a guru. So a person who gives us Krishna Bhakti, or if we put it the other way around, so the role of the father is actually to introduce Krishna consciousness to their children, to inspire children to become wonderful devotees. That is the role of the father and the spiritual master. Bhaktira Mahima Prabhu kahite pai sukha Bhaktira Mahima kahite haya panchamukha.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy just to speak of his glories of his devotees. Indeed, when he spoke of their glories, it was as if he had 5 faces. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very happy. These devotees were departing and he was moving from one set of devotees to another set of devotees from different provinces of Bengal, and he was just remembering and recounting their wonderful glories, and all other devotees were surrounding and they were listening to these beautiful transcendental spiritual devotional qualities of the devotees, and Lord was deriving so much of happiness. So this in the material world, one praises the other person when there is when he wants something from the other person. So then he will offer some praise. So without any material motive, usually a person does not really praise the other person. But here we see that this is a very fundamental principle of devotional service, glorification. So devotees engage in glorification of the Lord. They derive transcendental happiness. The devotees glorify other devotees and their beautiful transcendental qualities, and they derive happiness. And there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is setting his personal example that he's glorifying his devotees and he's deriving so much of bliss from this. And it was as if he had Panchmukha. He had 5 mouths from which he was glorifying. So much glorification was coming forth from Mahaprabhu. So probably this is something that we need to learn. If we glorify the devotees, we will not have time or mental space to criticize devotees or to find faults with them. So if we fill ourselves with the wonderful qualities of the devotees, then and glorify them, then everything becomes auspicious.
Bhakta Ganika Heshuna Mukundera Prema Niguda Nirmala Prema Yena Datta Hema. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then informed all his devotees, please hear about Mukunda's love of Godhead. It is a very deep and pure love and can only be compared to purified gold. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so pleased with Mukunda, especially with his answer. He is very pleased and impressed. And now Mahaprabhu is going to glorify Mukunda Das. Bahya Raja Vaidya Eho Kare Raja Seva Antare Krishna Prema Iha Janibe Kaheba.
Mukund Das externally appears to be a royal physician engaged in governmental service, but internally he has a deep love for Krishna. Who can understand his love? So usually it is a normal common man by the externals judges the devotion of a person. If somebody is wearing a saffron cloth or if he has beard or some devotional appearance, then he may construe from that, okay, this person is a devotee. But here, Mukund Das, who is he? He is a royal physician. Like these days, we have specific doctors who are engaged in the service of chief ministers and prime ministers and the president. They will have their own personal doctors. So like that, at that time, they were kings. And so Mukund Das was the royal physician. He was engaged in the service of the king. So externally he was engaged in material activities, but internally he was full, his heart was full of love for Krishna, deep love for Krishna. Ekadinam lecha raja ruchatungite chekit Sārvabhauma kahe tahara agrete.
One day, Mukunda Das, the royal physician, was seated with the Muslim king on a high platform and was telling the king about medical treatment. So one day when some discussion was going on about certain medical treatment between the king and the physician. Hina kale eka mayur puchra adani Raja Shiro Paridhare Ekasevakani.
While the king and Mukund Das were conversing, a servant brought a fan made of peacock feathers to shade the king's head from the sun. Consequently, he held the fan above the king's head. So, while king and his royal physician Mukund Das were sitting together, they were talking. A servant, he brought a shade made up of peacock feathers and he put it on the top of king's head.
Shikhi picha dekhi Mukund prema vishta haila ati ucha dungi haite bhumite padila. Now we don't know how many of us would remember Krishna just by seeing some peacock feather. But here let's see what is happening to Mukund Das. So he just saw this peacock feathered fan and he became so absorbed in ecstatic love of Krishna that he fell from the high platform onto the ground. So just by seeing that peacock feather, and he started thinking and meditating on Krishna, and he developed all the ecstatic symptoms and he actually fell from the ground. So sometimes it happens that if somebody is in deep love with the other person, like even in mundane material world, like if the mother is at home and the child, let's say, has gone to the hostel somewhere out, and the mother sees the things of the children, that child who has gone out somewhere, let's say the socks or the shoes or the bag or the book or the sweater, and the mother is instantly reminded of her child, and at times she would feel so much of separation that she would feel like crying, like overwhelmed with emotion. So here something similar is happening, and something much more profound. Mukund Das is thinking of Krishna and he's feeling so much of separation just by seeing that peacock feathered fan. Raja Jnana Raja Vaidir Haila Marana Apane Namiya Tape Karaila Chaitanya.
The king, fearing that the royal physician has been killed, personally descended and brought him to consciousness. So the king thought, oh, the royal physician himself has been killed. He has died. So he came down and he tried helping him and brought him to consciousness.
Raja bale vyatha tumi paile kon thani Mukund kahe ati bada vyatha pai nahi. When the king asked Mukunda, where is it paining you? Mukunda replied, I am not very much pained. Raja kahe Mukund tumi padi lakhi lagi Mukund kahe Raja mora vyadhi ache mrigi.
The king then inquired, Mukunda, why did you fall down? Now he's the doctor, of course he would know his disease, and the king was very keen to know why you fell down, for what purpose. So what did Mukunda say? Mukunda said, O king, I fell down because I'm afflicted with a disease called mirgi or epilepsy.
Mahavedad Raja se sab jane Mukundera haila tandra mahasiddha gyane. But this king was no ordinary king. So as it is said here, Mahavidagdha Raja, being extraordinarily intelligent, the king could understand the whole affair. In his estimation, Mukunda was a most uncommon, exalted, liberated personality. So the Raja, the king, could understand that this is no normal mirgi or epileptic fit what Mukunda was experiencing, but it was something extremely transcendental. Raghunandan seva kare Krishna Mandire Dware pushkarini tara ghatera upare.
So there were three personalities, and Lord has glorified Mukunda. And we also see that the Lord is not just glorifying telling that this quality is there in this devotee. He is actually quoting an incident which highlights the great devotion of the devotee. So in the Mukunda case, it was that incident which happened with the king. The next personality, Raghunandan, is constantly engaged in serving Lord Krishna in the temple. Besides the entrance of the temple is a lake.
Kadambera eka vrikshe bhote bar mase Nitya dui phula haya Krishna avatamshe. On its banks is a kadamba tree which daily delivers 2 flowers to be used for Krishna's service. So here is a description and we'll see what happens. Mukundera kahe puna madhura vachana Tomar karya dharme dhana uparjana.
Shri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu again spoke to Mukunda with sweet words. Your duty is to earn both material and spiritual wealth. So here we saw that Lord is instructing Mukunda. Now the time glorification is over. Now the instructions are coming. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Mukunda that what you should do. Your duty is to earn both material as well as spiritual wealth. So Lord is not saying, oh, you're a great devotee. Okay, now what you should do? Leave everything. Come here. Come and stay with me. So Lord is not saying that. Lord is saying that you continue your service as the your royal physician. You continue. You earn both material wealth as well as spiritual wealth. So according to the person, Lord is giving different instructions. So here this instruction is for Mukunda.
Raghunandanera karya Krishnera sevana Krishna seva vina ihar anya nahi mana. Furthermore, it is the duty of Raghunandan to always engage in Lord Krishna's service. He has no other intention but the service of Lord Krishna. Narahari Rahu Amar Bhakta Gana Sane Eitina Karya Sada Karatina Jane.
Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then ordered Narahari, I wish you to remain here with my devotees. In this way, the three of you should always execute these three duties for the service of the Lord. So Mukunda was told that he should earn both material wealth and spiritual wealth. Raghunandan was told that you should continue to worship the Lord. And there was such a beautiful description that next to the temple is a lake where there is a tree which throughout the year, every day, 2 beautiful Kadamba flowers blossom, and those flowers are to be offered to the Lord for the purpose of offering to the Lord. So he should continue worshipping the Lord, the daily worship in the temple. And Narhari was told, you stay back. You stay back with my devotees and you preach. So this is the instruction to Narhari. So there are 3 different devotees, all great devotees, but they have received different instructions from the Lord.
Sārvabhauma vidya vachaspati doi bhai, doi jane kripa kari, kahe na gosai. Out of his causeless mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the following directions to the brothers Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya and Vidya Vachaspati. So 2 brothers, again some instructions. Daru jala rupe Krishna prakata samprati, darshana snani kare jivira mukati.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, in this age of Kali, Krishna is manifested in 2 forms. What are those 2 forms? Daru and Jal, wood and water. Thus, by enabling the conditioned souls to see the wood and bathe in the water, he helps them become liberated. So we may think, how is it that by seeing the wood, we become liberated? Well, there's beautiful deities are carved out of wood. We see that the Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra deities are manifest from wood. So by having their darshan, the ordinary living entity in the material world, they are liberated. And water, not ordinary water, the water of the most sacred Ganga, if one bathes in it, then the Lord manifests as wood, the wooden deity form, and the Lord manifests as Ganga Jal. So by bathing in Ganga Jal and by having darshan of the deity carved out of wood, the Lord helps them to gain liberation.
Daru Brahma Rupe Sakshat Shri Purushottama, Bhagirathi Hana Sakshat Jala Brahma Sama. Lord Jagannath is the Supreme Lord himself in the form of wood, and the river Ganges is the Supreme Lord himself in the form of water.
Hari Hari, Daru Brahma, Jal Brahma.
Sārvabhauma kara daru Brahma aradhana, Vachaspati kara jala Brahmira sevana.
Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, you should engage in the worship of Lord Jagannath, Purushottam, and Vachaspati should worship Mother Ganga.
Murari Gupta re Prabhu kari alingana, Tanra bhakti nishtha kahin shune bhakta gana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Murari Gupta and began to speak about his firm faith in devotional service. This was heard by all the devotees. So next we will hear the glorification of Murari Gupta. Purve ami hare lo bhaila bar bar, Parama Madhura Gupta Brajendra Kumara.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, previously I induced Murari Gupta again and again to be allured by Lord Krishna. I said to him, my dear Gupta, Lord Sri Krishna Brajendra Kumar is the supreme sweetness. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally inspiring and preaching to Murari Gupta that you please take up the worship of Lord Krishna, the son, the Brajendra Kumar, the son of King of Vraja or Nand Maharaj. So Lord was inspiring him to take up the devotional service and take up worship of Lord Krishna. And who's that Krishna? Who's the Parama Madhura? Who's the embodiment of supreme sweetness?
Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Sarvamshi Sarvashraya, Vishuddha Nirmala Prema Sarvarasamaya. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of all incarnations and the source of everything. He is pure transcendental love itself, and he is the reservoir of all pleasure. So all these wonderful statements in glorification of Supreme Lord Krishna was spoken to Murari Gupta by Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. And I hope we all remember that Murari Gupta is none other than the expansion, the incarnation of Hanumanji. So Hanuman is the ardent worshipper of Lord Sri Ramachandra, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was inducing him or trying to attract him towards Krishna. Sakala Sadguna Vrinda Ratna Ratnakara Vedagdha Chatura Dhira Rasika Shekhara.
So glorification of Lord Krishna continues. Krishna is the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Sakala Sadguna Vrinda Ratna Ratnakar. He is like a mine of gems. Ratna Ratnakar. He is expert at everything. Very, very intelligent and sober. So he is very intelligent, at the same time he is very sudhir. Rasika Shekhar, and he is the summit of all transcendental humors.
Madhura Charitra Krishne Madhura Vilasa Chaturya Vaidakya Kare Yandra Lila Rasa. His character is very sweet and his pastimes are melodious. He is expert in intelligence and thus he enjoys all his pastimes and mellows.
Say Krishna Bhaja Tumi Hao Krishna Shraya Krishna Vina Anya Upasana Hilaya. I then requested, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying that he then requested Murari Gupta, worship Krishna and take shelter of him. But for his service, nothing appeals to the mind. So this is the direct instruction which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving Murari Gupta, that please worship Krishna, take his shelter, and other than his service, there is nothing else which actually is attractive to the mind.
In this way, he heard from me again and again. By my influence, his mind was a little converted, Phiri Gela Mana, so slightly attracted towards Krishna. Hamare kahe na ami tomara kinkara tomara agyakari ami nahi swatantra.
Murari Gupta then replied, I am your servant, tomara agyakari, I am your order carrier. I have no independent existence. So I am your kinkar, I am your agyakari, and I am not independent. So you have ordered me, so be it.
Etabali ghare gela chinti ratri kale Raghunatha tyaga chintai haila vikale. After this, Murari Gupta went home and spent the whole night thinking how he would have to give up the association of Raghunath, Lord Ramchandra. Thus, he was overwhelmed. So, he could not speak much in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was sort of requesting, insisting, persisting, inducing. So, he could not speak up at that time. But when he reached home and he started thinking that how difficult it would be for me to give up the association of my worshipable Raghunath, Lord Ramchandra.
And that overwhelmed him. I have to give up the worship of my beloved Lord Ram.
Ke mane chhadi baragho nathera charana Aji ratre Prabhu mora karaha marana.
Murari Gupta then began to pray at the lotus feet of Lord Ramchandra. He prayed that death would come that night, because it was not possible for him to give up the service of the lotus feet of Raghunath. So Murari Gupta was so completely dedicated and attached to Lord Ramchandra and to his service that he said, better death come to me tonight, because I cannot give up the service to Lord Ram.
He mat sarva ratri kare na krandana mane soyasti ratri kaila jagarana. Thus Murari Gupta cried the entire night There was no rest for his mind. Therefore, he could not sleep but stayed awake the entire night. So recently, actually, one young girl, she messaged me and she was telling that the whole night she could not sleep. She had this panic attack because she was thinking of some recent traumatic incident which has happened in her life, and that is how she was so overwhelmed and disturbed, and she was thinking that probably she should end her life, she should commit suicide. So all that is completely mundane reason why we get disturbed. But here is Murari Gupta, he is experiencing the same feeling of disturbance and panic and anxiety, but this is all transcendental. So what we experience is emotional on a very, very emotional material platform. What he is experiencing is the thought of the separation from his beloved Lord Ramchandra, and he was thinking, what is the point in my living if I cannot worship Lord Rama? Better the death should come tonight so that tomorrow morning, and because see, there is a dilemma going on also. So he cannot give up Lord Ramchandra, and simultaneously he cannot say no to the request of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu, because this Chaitanya Mahāprabhu is not different from Ramchandra. So he is so attached to Chaitanya Mahāprabhu also. So he is thinking, either I have to give up Lord Ramchandra or I have to say no to Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. But both the cases are impossible for me. So easiest option is if I die, and that would be fine. Pratakale asi mora dharila charana Kandite kandite kichu kare nivedana.
In the morning, Murari Gupta came to see me. Catching hold of my feet and crying, he submitted an appeal.
Raghunathir paya muni vechiya cho matha Kadite na pari matha mane pai vyatha. Murari Gupta said, I have sold my head unto the lotus feet of Raghunath. I cannot withdraw my head, for that would give me too much pain. So he's saying, how is it possible? My surrender is sold to Raghunath. How can I take it back? Shri Raghunath Charana Chadana Yaya Tava Agya Bhanga Haya Ki Karo Paya.
It is not possible for me to give up the service of Raghunath's lotus feet. At the same time, if I do not do so, I shall break your order. What can I do? So here is that dilemma which he is experiencing, that he cannot give up the service of Raghunath and at the same time he cannot break the order of Lord Chaitanya. He is attached to both the Supreme Personality. So what should I do? Now, interesting point is that he is praying to the Lord that let me die tonight. So he was praying like that in the whole night, but he did not practically execute that. He was praying to the Lord that, Lord, you please take away my life. Yeah, you take away my life force. So it was not that he was acting in a way that he would jump from somewhere or commit suicide. Tate more kripa kar daya maya tomara ge mrityu hau kayau ka samshaya.
In this way, Murari Gupta appealed to me, saying, you are all merciful, Dayamai. So kindly grant me this mercy. Do this kripa, give this mercy. Let me die before you so that all my doubts will be finished. So this is what his prayers were. So like how Bhishma Dev was lying in that battlefield and waiting that when Krishna would come and when I can focus my mind, my thoughts, my speech, my everything at the Supreme Lord and die. Similarly, in that mood, he is saying, let me die before you so that all my doubts will be finished. Eta shoniyami bada mane sukha pailu ihare uthana tabe alingana kailu.
Hearing this, I became very happy. Now, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying this, that hearing that Murari Gupta is unable to give up his devotion and surrender to Lord Ram, the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy. Although he's the one who was consistently, continuously, repeatedly telling Murari Gupta that worship Krishna, worship Krishna. But now, with this conclusion, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very happy. I then raised Murari Gupta and embraced him.
Sadhu Sadhu Gupta Tomar Sudrida Bhajana Amara vachnane tomar nata lila mana. I said to him, all glories to you, Murari Gupta. Your method of worship is very firmly fixed. So much so that even upon my request, your mind did not turn. Imagine, like, people generally at the drop of a needle, they change their faith. People convert from one religion to another. And here is Murari Gupta, whom the Supreme Lord himself is telling to change his object of worship. And yet, he was completely fixed. Ei mata seva kera priti chahi Prabhu paya. Prabhu chadai leha pada chada nanayaya.
The servitor must have love and affection for the lotus feet of the Lord, exactly like this. Even if the Lord wants separation, a devotee cannot abandon the shelter of his lotus feet. So, Chaitanya Mahāprabhu is glorifying Murari Gupta. Of course, other devotees are listening, and he's explained to them that this is how one must have love and affection for the lotus feet of the Lord, like Murari Gupta. Like Murari Gupta is so much fixed up, surrendered to Lord Ram. Like that, we should develop our love and affection for the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And he's saying that even if the Lord wants separation, here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was getting, okay, you become separate from the feet of Lord Ram. This devotee, Murari Gupta, he could not abandon. He could not leave.
He mata tomar nishtha jani bharatare tomare agraha ami kailu bare bare. Just to test your firm faith in your Lord, I requested you again and again to change your worship from Lord Ramachandra to Krishna. So Lord is revealing that I was actually testing you, and not basically I was testing you, but I wanted to glorify you, so that the whole world can see how fixed you are in your worship to Lord Ramchandra. Sakshat Hanumana tumi Shri Rama Kinkara tumi kene chhadi batanra charana kamala.
In this way, I congratulated Murari Gupta, saying, indeed, you are the incarnation of Hanuman. Consequently, you are the eternal servant of Lord Ramchandra, Shri Rama Kinkar. Why should you give up the worship of Lord Ramchandra and his lotus feet? There is no need for you to do that.
Say Murari Gupta ei mora prana sama ihara inya shuni mor pataya jivana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, I accept this Murari Gupta as my life and soul. When I hear of his humility, it perturbs my very life. So now, few verses back, can we imagine what that night, how difficult that night would have been for Murari Gupta when he was contemplating this way, that way, how, and just this thought for a pure devotee, just the thought of separation from the Supreme Lord is so very perturbed, like disturbing. So the whole night he was very disturbed. So now it may appear that though Murari Gupta was such a wonderful devotee, why did he suffer? Why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made him suffer the entire night? So actually it is said that for the new devotees, there are some sufferings so that they become purified. They are purified of their karmic reaction, their karma gets over. For the exalted and top devotees, they go through suffering for their glorification. So we go through suffering for our purification, and devotees like Murari Gupta, they go through suffering for their glorification. Otherwise, how would we ever get to know how much strong faith and love and attachment he has for Lord Ramchandra? Tabe Vasudeva Prabhu kari alingana Tana guna kahe hana sahasravadana.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Vasudeva Datta and began to speak of his glories as if he had 1,000 mouths. So previously we saw as having 5 faces of 5 mouths of Panchmukha, and here he is Sahasravadana, as if he had thousands of mouths. That's how he was glorifying Vasudeva Datta.
Nija guna shuni datta mane lajjapana
Nivedana kare Prabhur charane dhariya.
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified him, Vasudeva Datta immediately became very much embarrassed and shy. He then submitted himself, touching the Lord's lotus feet. Jagat tarite Prabhu tomara avatara, mora nivedana eka karangikara.
Vasudeva Datta told Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my dear Lord, you incarnate just to deliver all conditioned souls. Jagat tarite Prabhu tumara avatar, mora nivedana. So now what is his request? I now have one petition which I wish you would accept. Karite samartha tumi haudaya maya, tumi manakara tapi anaya sehaya.
My Lord, you are certainly able to do whatever you like, and you are indeed merciful. If you so desire, you can very easily do whatever I want. So this is how one has to pray to, one is expected to pray to the Supreme Lord. So Chaitanya Charitamrta, it is actually a course on our conduct, as how we need to conduct ourselves. So here we see that first he is glorifying the Supreme Lord. He is telling that you are so powerful. You can do whatever you like, and you are very merciful also. And simultaneously, I don't want to ask you for something which is beyond your desire, which means which you don't want me to do. I don't want that thing also. So if you so desire, so that is the qualifier, that if you so desire, you can very easily do whatever you want. So then he is asking.
Tumi mana kare.
Jivera dukha dekhi mora hridaya vidare, sarva jiver papa prabhu deha mora shire.
My Lord, my heart breaks to see the sufferings of all the conditioned souls. Therefore, I request you to transfer the karma of their sinful lives upon my head. So this is the request which Vasudeva Datta has made to the Lord. That Lord, I cannot bear to see the suffering of all these unlimited living entities. Not just human beings, but all the conditioned souls. I cannot see their suffering. Now, we understand, when we read scriptures, we understand that all these living entities, the material, they suffer. It is their own doing. It is not that it is some external person who is very cruel, who is inflicting all this suffering upon them. It is their own past activities for which they are facing reaction. So we may feel, oh, it's justified. Their suffering is justified. But here, this devotee is so compassionate. His heart is so soft that he cannot bear. Okay, he may have done so many mistakes in the past, but his current suffering, he is not able to, Vasudeva is not able to bear it. And what is his request? So Lord, all their suffering is because of their previous sinful lives. So I want you to transfer all those sins which all the living entities have done in the entire universe. To whom? To me. So that they become sin-free. They don't have any reason to suffer. So please, you give all their karma to me.
Actually, we have no idea what he is praying for. Jiver papalana muni karunarak bhoga, sakala jivera prabhu guchaha bhavroga. My dear Lord, let me suffer perpetually in a hellish condition, accepting all the sinful reactions of all living entities. Please finish their diseased material life. So for me, my own sinful reaction is so much of a torture that I keep suffering throughout my life in one form or the other. Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Atmik miseries. The packaging keeps changing, but the misery keeps inflicting upon me. This is only my sinful reaction. What is he praying for? That all the living entities, he is not even saying all the humans. He is saying all the living entities, let all the sinful reaction come to me. I will go to the hell and I'll stay there perpetually. Let me suffer whatever is required, but finish their diseased material life.
We are not able to bear our own suffering. And he's ready to bear suffering on behalf of all the living entities.
So we start asking, that why me, God, why me? And he is saying everybody's. Eta shoni Mahaprabhu chitta dravila ashru kampa swara bhange kahite lagila.
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard Vasudeva Datta's statement, now what is the reaction? What is the response of the Lord? Lord's heart became very soft. Chitta, it became dravya, it became softened, liquidy, very soft. And then Ashru, the tears began flowing from his beautiful lotus-like eyes, and he began to tremble. In a faltering voice, he spoke as follows. So, how our words, and these are very profound requests which Vasudeva Datta has made, and this is the kind of response, this is the transformation has happened in the Lord's body just by those profound prayer of Vasudeva Datta.
Tomara vichitra nahe, tumi sakshat prahlada, tomara upar Krishna sampurna prasada.
तुम्हारा विचित्र न है, तुमी साक्षात प्रहलाद, तुम्हारा उपारे कृष्ण संपूर्ण प्रसाद.
Accepting Vasudeva Datta as a great devotee, the Lord said, such a statement is not at all astonishing because you are the incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj. It appears that Lord Krishna has bestowed complete mercy upon you. There is no doubt about it. Krishna se satya kare ye mage vritya vancha purti vinu nahi anya kritya.
Whatever a pure devotee wants from his master, Lord Krishna doubtlessly grants, because he has no duty other than to fulfill the desire of his devotee. So what is the Lord's duty? He says in Bhagavad Gita, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya. So all these things Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, but here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling the duty of the Lord. There is no duty there is no other duty of the Lord other than to fulfill the desires of his devotee. And you are his pure devotee. And whatever you ask, Krishna guaranteed, without any doubt, the Lord will grant this desire.
Brahmanda jivera tumi vanchile nistara vena papa bhoge bhave savara uttara. If you desire the deliverance of all living entities within the universe, then all of them can be delivered even without your undergoing the tribulations of sinful activity. So Krishna is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is saying that why you have to go to the hell for that? If this is what you desire, that can be fulfilled. Asamarthana he Krishna dare Sārvabhauma toma keva kene bhuja ibe papa phala.
Krishna is not incapable. Asamartha nahi Krishna. There is no lack of capability in the Lord. For he has all potencies, dhare Sārvabhauma. So this you have asked, all the living entities in this material will be delivered. And if there is a problem in that deliverance because of their sinful reactions, give that to me. So this is what Vasudeva Datta is saying. What Lord is saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, it is not impossible for the Lord. Krishna is not incapable. He has all the potency, he has all the strength. Why should he induce you to suffer the sinful reactions of other living entities?
Tumiyan rahita vancha se haila Vaishnava Vaishnavera papa Krishna dura kare sabha. Whosoever welfare you desire immediately becomes a Vaishnava, and Krishna delivers all Vaishnavas from the reactions of their past sinful activities. So Vasudeva Datta, you are so powerful that by your association, by even when you think or desire, others convert into Vaishnava. And of course, Krishna delivers all the Vaishnavas from their past reactions. Yastva indra gopam athavindra mahosva karma bandhanurupa phalabhajanamatanoti Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the original personality of Godhead Govinda, who regulates the sufferings and enjoyments due to fruitive activities. He does this for everyone, from the heavenly king Indra down to the smallest insect Indragopa. That very personality of Godhead destroys the karmic reactions of one engaged in devotional service. So Lord is quoting a verse from Brahma Samhita, and Lord is saying that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that Govinda, Lord, He regulates everyone's suffering and enjoyment. So all the suffering that I'm getting and all the enjoyment that I'm getting it due to my past fruitive activity. If I've done some past activity, I'm getting some enjoyment, and vice versa. And this happens under the supervision of the Lord. And this is applicable to all the living entities, right from the heavenly king down to the smallest insect. So the Lord is the one who delivers these reactions to these past activities. And the same Lord can destroy it if one performs devotional service. So Lord is the giver of material reactions, and Lord is the remover of those material reactions depending on what one does.
Tumhara ichha matra habe brahmanda mochana sarva mukta karite Krishna nahi kechu shrama. Because of your honest desire, all living entities within the universe will be delivered. For Krishna does not have to do anything to deliver all the living entities of the universe. So he's telling, this is all what you are asking, and Krishna is very powerful. Don't think that he is nirbal, he does not have power. He can very easily deliver all the living entities of the universe. Eka udambara vrikshe lage koti phale Koti ye brahmanda bhase virajara jale.
Just as there are millions of fruits on the Udumbara tree, millions of universes float on the waters of the river Viraja. So here Lord has, in few verses, Lord will explain that how it is not an effort for the Lord to deliver all the living entities in this universe. Why is it not difficult for the Lord? So he's giving an example that there's an Udumbara tree, and this one tree is having millions and millions of fruits. So there's a tree which has millions of fruits covered, the bark, everything is covered with millions of fruits. And Lord is saying, giving this example analogy for us to understand that similarly there are millions of universes floating on the waters of river Viraja.
Tara eka phala padi adi nashtahaya tathapi vrishnahi jane nija apachaya. The Udumbara tree is filled with millions of fruits, and if one falls down and is destroyed, the tree does not even consider the loss. So what is a loss for a tree if out of millions of fruit, one fruit falls down? So similarly, there are millions of universes, millions of Brahman. So one universe, everybody gets delivered. How does that even matter? Taiche ek brahmanya di mukta haya tabu alpahani Krishna mane nahi laya.
In the same way, if one universe is vacated due to the living entities having been liberated, that is a very little thing for Krishna. He does not take it very seriously. So Udumbara tree, millions of fruits, one fell down, destroyed, he doesn't care. Similarly, we have, people have money, if 1 rupee coin falls down, goes into the gutter, unable to retract, do we feel the loss? No, we don't feel the loss. So similarly, one universe, everybody is liberated, that universe has become empty, it is of no use. For the Lord, it is a very small thing, he doesn't take it seriously. It is not really a big issue. It is not really even an issue.
Ananta Aishwarya Krishna Vaikunthadi Dhama Taragada Khai Karanabdiyara Nama. The entire spiritual world constitutes the unlimited opulence of Krishna, and there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets there. The causal ocean is considered the surrounding waters of Vaikuntha Lok. So he's giving a description of the spiritual world here.
This is geography of the creation. Creation means material world. So the eternal spiritual world and the material creation. So there's a geography description, geography class.
Tate bhase maya lana ananta brahmanda gada kaite bhase yena rai purna bhanda.
Maya and her unlimited material universes are situated in that causal ocean. Indeed, Maya appears to be floating like a pot filled with mustard seeds. So, Lord is again and again giving different kinds of examples and analogies for us to visualize and conceptualize. That how earlier the example was of the tree, and here the example is that Maya, or the material energy of the Lord, is like a pot. It is floating on water, and this pot has filled with mustard seeds, like millions of mustard seeds. Thousands of mustard seeds are there in a pot of. So like that, Maya is floating with so many mustard-like, seed-like material universes.
Tara ekarai nashe hani nahi mani. Aiche eka anda nashe Krishna nahi hani. Of the millions of mustard seeds floating in that pot, if one seed is lost, the loss is not at all significant. Similarly, if one universe is lost, it is insignificant to Lord Krishna. Sārvabhauma sahayadi maya rahayakshaya tathapi na mane Krishna kichu apachaya.
To say nothing of one universal mustard seed, even if all the universes and the material energy, Maya, are destroyed, Krishna does not even consider the loss. So, till now we are talking about one fruit of the Udumba tree, or one mustard seed of the pot, Maya pot, which has so many mustard seeds. Krishna is saying even the whole pot goes. All the mustard seeds are destroyed. All the Udumba tree fruits are destroyed. The material energy is destroyed. The whole pot is destroyed. Even that is not any loss for Lord.
Koti kamadhenu pati chagi aiche mare shad aishwarya pati Krishna maya ke bakare. If a person possessing millions of wish-fulfilling cows, millions of Kamdhenu cows, loses one she-goat, he does not consider the loss. Krishna owns all 6 opulences in full. If the entire material energy is destroyed, what does he lose? So imagine somebody has these wish-fulfilling, desire-fulfilling cows. You ask for anything and they give that. So in that case, if he has millions of such cows, will such person even bother about one goat? So if goat is lost also, who thinks that also? So it is like that for Krishna.
So this entire material is like one she-goat for the Lord.
He matta sarva bhaktir kahi sab guna sabari vidaya dila kariya lingana.
In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the good qualities of his devotees one after another. He then embraced them and bade them farewell.
Prabhura vichede bhakta kare narodana bhaktera vicheda prabhur vishanayana. Due to the impending separation from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees began to cry. The Lord was also morose due to the separation from the devotees. So now these devotees from Bengal had come and had stayed with Supreme Lord for 4 months, and now it's the time of separation. So Lord glorified them, and that even more welled up their heart. And now with that heavy heart, they have to separate from the Lord. Gadadhara Panditara Hila Prabhur Pashe Yameshwara Prabhu Yandra Karela Avase.
Gadadhar Pandit remained with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was given a place to live at Yameshwar.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you all very much for joining. Hope we are all feeling very inspired and happy hearing about such exalted, wonderful devotees of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu and their interactions with them. And especially when we hear the glories of these amazing devotees by Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu himself. And when we hear such prayer, such heartfelt prayer, when Vasudeva Datta is praying, it's not just, he's not praying to impress Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. He's praying out of his complete humility, his surrender, and his compassion. So when we hear that, those prayers, so that all gives us a perspective. So maybe, of course, that is not our position, and we should not go and start praying like Vasudeva Datta. But that gives us a perspective, that is that how a devotee is supposed to behave and what pleases Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. So thank you all very much for joining. Looking forward to see all of you at the house of Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya in the next session when Chaitanya Mahāprabhu would actually go to honor Prasādam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrta ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare.